Welcome to the Baller Boyz podcast. They're all about sports, and more sports. And now, the Baller Boyz, Mark and Shemaya.
Hello, and welcome back to the Baller Boyz podcast. It's your boy, Mark, but I'm not doing this alone. Joining me on this wonderful adventure is my co-host, the SOTB, the music man with the plan himself, Shemaya.
Yep, I'm a rapper now.
Yes, sir. You heard him. He's rapping. And today we're going to be rapping about our NFL picks. So you better stick around. Yeah, it's terrible. I can't rap, but leave it to Shemaya to rap. Hopefully he raps later in the episode. Shemaya, you got a little rapper now?
Just going to wait and find out, man.
Ooh, all right. So before the show started, first of all, for those of you who don't know, this show is revolved around our NFL MVP picks. Yes, it is still midway through the season, but it is never too early to get those picks in. We've seen a good sample of some of these players, and we're going to go through a few names before we reveal our picks. But thank you all for tuning in, first of all, for the Baller Boyz podcast. We come to you every week where we talk sports, and more sports. And we do this after work. So, we just casually like to come on here, have a good time, vent a little bit, and talk some sports. So thank you all for joining us. And if you missed any of our episodes, or if this is your first time listening, go check out Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We're all over the place. Check out your favorite podcast streaming service. Baller Boyz podcast. Look it up. We will be right there. We always have good content. So with that being said, let's jump right into today's topic, NFL MVP. I've got a few names here that are really interesting. Now, I'm going to go ahead and kind of start with some numbers. I did some research here on some guys who are potential MVP frontrunners, and I'm going to go through couple of names here before I get to my pick. But Shemaya he's got a little pick of his own. He's got a surprise pick that I have no idea who he's going to go with here. So and he let me know that none of these guys are his pick. So stick around. We got a really exciting reveal coming out in the end here. But let's get started here. We've got Jalen Hurts, the quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are sitting at 10-1. They have, Hurts has been incredible this season. Just talk about a turnaround. The Philadelphia Eagles finally reloaded that team with weapons for him. Nick Sirianni has a very good strategy as far as run-first offense. They have a good defense as well. That O-line's fantastic. And they just keep finding a way. It's a system that relies heavily on the run game, and they have utilized it. Kenneth Gainwell, Miles Sanders. Everyone talks about Jalen Hurts, Shemaya, having this bounce-back season, MVP-like season, compared to his last season where he didn't have any weapons. No one really knew if he was the guy going forward, but I think this solidified his position on that team. But Miles Sanders, man, everyone kind of thought he was on the hinge there. No one really knew what to think of Miles Sanders. And I think it is now time for people to look at him and say, this guy can ball. He is a true running back. He's a true starting running back in the NFL. And I think Nick Sirianni with his is helping him out with the way that he's using the running backs. He's using Kenneth Gainwell, Boston Scott. He's got a little rotation behind Miles Sanders. He's not just kind of just overworking him. He's still giving him enough work, but he's not overworking him. And Sanders is producing with the work that he is getting. So just a really fun storyline, great storyline going on in Philly. But Jalen Hurts, man, 21st most rushing yards. You heard that right, man. He's not a running back. Jalen Hurts is a quarterback. He right now has the 21st most rushing yards in the NFL. He has more rushing yards than Zeke. So let that kind of kick in there. He has the 11th most passing touchdowns with 17. He has the 6th most rushing touchdowns with 8. Again, 21st in most rushing yards, number 6 in most rushing TDs. That's wild. This dude's a quarterback. His versatility is wild. He has the 4th most rushing yards. Not 4th most rushing yards, but I'm going to go into the defense. Now, the reason I'm mentioning the defense here, is because it's a way for you to gauge the balance of these teams. A lot of times good quarterbacks are supported by a really good defense or other factors. So The Eagles sit at the 9th best defense in the NFL. Very formidable, Super Bowl winning type of defense there. So Jalen Hurts has a very good support system. As I just mentioned, Nick Sirianni has a great running back system that is helping propel Hurts. So there's not as much pressure on him because it is really revolved around the run game. They gave Hurts weapons. He has A.J. Brown. They drafted Devonta Smith. Dallas Goedert's there. So he's got weapons in the air. He's got weapons on the ground. He has a fantastic O-line. He has a really good D-line too. So the Eagles are just maybe the most balanced team in the NFL as far as talent and quality. But Shimei, what are your thoughts on Hurts, man?
I mean, Hurts is definitely making people hurt out there. He's only thrown 3 interceptions this whole season. There's some quarterbacks out there that can't say that they haven't done that within the game.
Wait, 3?
Only 3 so far. And he's not the guy I picked, by the way. But you can't deny the fact that I think he really wants to go to the Super Bowl. I think his mindset is, I'm going to do what I got to do to get my players in the best position in the season. Because they are playing as if like they legit want to make a run to the Super Bowl. Because you hear everybody talking about the Cowboys, doing pretty good this season. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think Jalen is feeling it, man. Ever since I saw, I forget what game it was, but they did like a little special, story on him, like where he was then, where he is now. He has a cool situation where I think he can really, I don't know why I'm even saying this on the show, but I think Philly might be smelling the Super Bowl, man. I know that's crazy.
I don't think you're crazy, man. They look really darn good.
Well, I'm just saying because the most favorite, I just hit my mic, but the most favorite teams, no one's really talking about Philly. And I think that's a problem. I think people should really seriously talk about Philly. Stop talking about the Cowboys. Please stop talking about the Cowboys. They're going to find a way to lose. Philly has a way better chance to make a run. Way better chance. And if there's anyone that can lead them to do it, you touched on it. Jalen's running like he's a running back, but he's actually the quarterback. I think Jalen's really going to go in this final stretch for the season. And I think we're going to see a lot more sparks. Because like I said, only 3 interceptions so far this whole season.
Yeah, that's wild to me, man. I didn't even know that.
And part of that is a big thank you because of his running game. To be honest, without his running game, he'd probably have more than 3 interceptions. So I think his run game it gives him that secret weapon. If y'all slow down our passing, well, you better catch my legs because I'm be gunning it down the field. And I think we are going to see probably very exciting games in the near future in this final stretch. And I think Philly should be in the talk here on out, having the opportunity to get to the Super Bowl. Because I think with Jalen's success in this season, he is very well capable and well equipped to do this with his teammates. I don't think there's any better team. Can you think of a better team? As far as outside the ones that we like already, outside the Bills and all that.
No. Yeah, I don't even know if the Vikings are as good as the Eagles, man. The Eagles are just really stacked all across the board.
The Vikings have a cool mascot, but that's about it. I don't think they have a chance to get to the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, if we were voting for a mascot, I'll definitely put my vote in for the Vikings. But yeah, they have some issues that will probably most likely prevent them to have a run. And I think I'm very confident in saying that. So yeah, if I had to put all my chips in, it will definitely be for Philly. Because at this moment where people's headspace is right now, I think that team, they are the most mature team outside of the elite top ones that everyone talks about, week in, week out. I don't think people are talking about Philly enough. But I think pretty soon we are probably going to hear more about Philadelphia and probably see more highlights and more time given into really dissecting their season, because they are a unit that I think people were sleeping on. And pretty soon they're going to come in, like a hot burning stove. And it's going to be too late because they've been warming up all season. And now they're about to really cut loose.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Jalen Hurts and the Eagles are flying, all the pun intended. They are flying right now. But we move on to our next potential MVP candidate, and that is Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen. The Bills are sitting at 8-3 right now. Again, one of the most dominant. They're probably the best team in the AFC right now as far as like talent all across the board. Just a very well-built roster. Josh Allen is number 2 in passing yards with 3,183. He's tied for second for most passing touchdowns. He's 8th most rushing yards. Forgive me. That's something else. But the point is, Josh Allen is the man in Buffalo. He's getting the job done. The fact that he's number 2 in passing yards shows that he's a gunslinger. He's accurate. He's got a lot of weapons in Buffalo. Again, very similar to Hurts. He's got a lot of weapons. But Allen's getting the job done. He is the man there. He has solidified his spot. And that's why it's very interesting as we talk about all these different candidates in different, almost in different phases of their career. With Jalen Hurts, this was the prove it year for him. And with a lot of uncertainty from last season. And Jalen is soaring, flying high right now with his position, with what he's been given. And he hasn't dropped the ball once. But Allen is the man in Buffalo. He is the franchise quarterback. He loves the city. And defense altogether, the defense is ranked 5th best in the NFL. Again, a Super Bowl winning defense. So he is supported all across the board, man. The Buffalo Bills are stacked like we talked about. So he's getting a lot of help. And I'm not saying that to diminish his raw talent, his abilities, his development. He is very good. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and you can't take that away from him. But with that being said, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I wish I had his bank account. I mean, the other thing that's stacked is his contract. Mm-hmm. This guy is living literally the American dream. I mean, this guy can eat steak every day and never go broke. And that was a nice plug for illustrating his game. His game is never going to be broke, ever. Josh is a special talent. He's a talent that you get to see like once in your generation, if you will. He's a rising star that is just, he's already a star. Let me fix that. But he's a star that's about to be a superstar, if I can say that. He's going to be a player that everyone's going to want to watch, despite if you're a Bills fan or not. True story, I was not a Bills fan, and then he made me a fan. That's the power of a good quarterback. That's what's awesome about the NFL. Just because you don't like a certain team, it only takes really one individual for you to become a fan. And that's exactly what Josh is.
Tom Brady and the Buccaneers.
He's way better than Tom right now. Not better than his career, but just better in his performance in this season. And yeah, Josh has been, I would say, the most consistent NFL quarterback of this season. Hands down. I'll wait for another quarterback if you have one.
I actually do have one. And I'm glad we're talking about these guys. So when I was talking about 8th most rushing yards, that's actually the Bills. They allow the 8th fewest. They're number 8 in fewest rushing yards allowed. So their team is good. And earlier when we were talking about the Eagles defense, they allow the 4th fewest rushing yards. So yeah, the Eagles, I think that's what it is. But either way, both defenses are really good. But this next MVP candidate is actually my pick right now, and that is Kansas City quarterback Patrick Mahomes. The Kansas City Chiefs sit at 9-2 right now, so they don't have the best record, but they have the second. They're tied with the Vikings at 9-2. But yeah, let's get right down to it. Pat Mahomes, he's number 1 in passing yards, Shemaiah. So he has 3,585 passing yards. That is, keep that in mind. Josh Allen, as I mentioned before, he's number 2 in passing yards. Josh Allen has 3,183, which is nothing to laugh at. But Pat Mahomes has practically 400 more passing yards than he does. Pat Mahomes, number 1 in passing touchdowns with 29. He has 6 more than the next quarterback on the list. Josh Allen, that being Josh Allen with 23. And again, we're talking of like defenses here, man. The Chiefs. So the Chiefs defense is okay. They're all right. Like they're serviceable. They're solid when they have to be, but they're not good. They're not elite. They're not great. Well, I won't say they're not good, but they're not that good. They're not like Super Bowl level good where a quarterback can heavily rely on the defense to help kind of balance things out on the other end of the ball. Not to say that the Chiefs.
Say like Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing is, actually, the Packers do have a pretty solid defense, but it's just A-Rod's not helping them out. That's for sure. The offense has really been struggling.
That's my point, man.
Yeah, the offense has really been struggling. But the thing is, the Chiefs' defense they're not bad. They're all right. Like they're serviceable. They're solid. And they do make big plays when they need to, but they are not the Bills' defense. They are not the Eagles' defense. There are problems on that defense, and it shows here. They allow the 20th most rushing yards in the league. That's not good, especially if you got potential Super Bowl contenders like the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Niners, who run the ball down your throat. Other teams can look at that as a wound, like sharks in the water, man. They smell that blood. They can see weakness in that defense. Other teams are going to exploit it. And again, like I mentioned, the Chiefs have the 15th best defense. That's right in the middle of the pack. That's not that great. It's not terrible, but it's not that great. The fact that Pat Mahomes is having to literally carry the team this season. Him and Kelsey have that connection just like Brady and Gronk did. And it's showing, man. Those two are bros. And Pat Mahomes is making magic out of this. And I got to give credit to the Chiefs organization. They do find a way to build these rosters that are cap friendly, that can keep retooling the positions that they need. They just keep finding a way. They are essentially the New England Patriots, where they keep finding a way to retool every season. If they lose a big piece, let's say, they just lost Tyreek Hill. You wouldn't be able to tell. They're 9-2 right now. Tyreek Hill was one of their best offensive weapons, and they still found a way to fill the void. And Pat Mahomes is balling right now, and he knows he has to put the team on his back. The run game has struggled a bit for the Chiefs this season, and he's picking up the load with his passing and his passing touchdowns. And to me, and again, as we talked about, Shemaiah, like the more a quarterback has to throw, the higher the chance of INTs, just like you were talking about with Jalen Hurts. If he had to throw the ball more, he would probably have more INTs. But, Pat Mahomes doesn't have that many interceptions this season, and he is leagues beyond where any quarterback is at as far as passing yards and passing touchdowns. And I have to commend him for that. And just because he doesn't have an elite defense, he doesn't have a great or even good run game there on the offense, I got to give the MVP to Patrick Mahomes, man. Chiefs sitting at 9-2. You're going to get more wins in there. What Pat Mahomes is doing is incredible right now. And his mobility, again, dual threat. He can run, he can throw, he's smart. He's made some acrobatic passes that I've never seen before this season alone. So, Pat Mahomes, man, Kansas City Chiefs, he's my pick for the NFL MVP right now.
Yeah, I mean, ain't nothing to argue about, but that is cut and dry. That's a good pick. I don't know if you're ready for my pick.
Oh boy, I don't know. Like, how ready do I have to be for this pick? I'm gonna
wait. Well, I'm gonna wait 5 more minutes.
Oh, you could go ahead, man. You can go ahead. I'm pretty much set.
That was a bad joke. It's because people are not expecting this answer from me. So the person I'm going to go with is Joe Burrow. Reason why? The record is not that bad at all. You know, they have played some tough teams, but they're 7-4 right now. They're playing the Chiefs this Sunday on the 4th. So that'll be a good test. But Joe has over 3,000 yards this season. Last season, he had over 4,000. The season before that, he had 2,000 plus yards. His total career so far, 10,459 yards passing. I think Joe's on a good track record because he's already at 3,000, plus yards right now this season. He's going to finish this season strong. And I think what he had to work with, he's one of those okay, he's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not Hurts. But Joe is Joe. I know I'm not doing justice with this reasoning of my pick. But my thing is, if anyone had to deserve the honor, I would have to tip my hat to Joe. And like I said, the record is not terrible. They actually are in a very mediocre AFC North. So that's not helping my pick. But the point is, the Ravens, they're not as, as exciting as they should be. They're a good team, but they're not exciting to watch. I think Joe is exciting to watch. And I don't think he's done. I think there's still gas in that tank. And he's going to finish the season pretty strong. Well, I say something crazy and say they can go to the Super Bowl. I don't know, lightning will have to strike 5 times perfectly right next to my house for that to happen. But I think Joe deserves to be acknowledged and give his roses, his flowers or whatever, because he has a pretty decent season, man. And not a whole lot of quarterbacks can say that.
Yeah, I think him and Josh Allen are tied, right, for TDs on the season.
I might have to double check that, but that sounds like it could be right. I mean, they both have 3,000 and up and passing, so I think Josh Allen's just a little bit more. He's in a better position to actually make it right.
Yeah, I think he's got just a better quality team around him too. Yeah, and that plays a huge role in team success. You know what's interesting? I'm glad you brought up Burrow actually, because he is tied for 3rd in most sacks taken, and the Bengals are 7-4.
Now that says a lot.
Yeah.
Dang. Well, that says a lot. Well, to your point, I think the main biggest problem is Joe offseason. They're gonna need some more pieces to make that team super elite, because they're not super elite in every, area that's going to help them be a Super Bowl team. They got more work to do. Like I said, he's someone I'll put on a list that deserves to be acknowledged and win the MVP as long as they don't lose the rest of their games, which I don't see happening. I think there might be an upset this Sunday with the Chiefs. I think it'll probably be a high scoring game. Offense on both ends will probably be super hot fire. And Joe might be able to sneak a win as long as Patrick Mahomes doesn't go like Steph Curry in the NBA shooting threes and Mahomes is just throwing the ball in the end zone in every play or something. But this could be a good test for Joe and the Bengals. And be like, okay, can we make a statement and say, hey, don't forget about us? Or are we going to get mopped? I think that's the only way it's going to go down. It's going to be a high-scoring game, or it'll be a blowout. And Mahomes will be shooting a commercial right after the game, for his little catalog of this year, his famous commercials. And the coach will probably draw a mustache on Joe and say, why don't you try to grow one? But, yeah, that's my take, man. I think, like I said, with Allen and Burrow and Mahomes, these are some of the quarterbacks where it's like you only get to witness this one time. These are special talents that, they are unique in their own way. If I had to rank them all at once, Mahomes is definitely 1, Allen's 2, and Joe's 3. But when other quarterbacks are not performing as well as you thought they would, I hate to say it, Matt Stafford hasn't been consistent. But I think that's I think that's that little King talk. I think that is a safe statement. But I think his team kind of blew up in like confetti.
Yeah, you know why I especially like that Joe Burrow recognition that you give, because Burrow actually has more sacks than Stafford this season.
Wow.
Which is baffling to me.
Well, hate to put the Detroit Lion joke in there, but just because you get one Super Bowl doesn't mean you're coming right back.
Yeah.
Sometimes you miss your flight and your bus to catch the memo. Like, oh, we supposed to do it this season? I thought y'all want to do it in like 5 months.
Oh, we got the ring already. We can retire early. Yeah.
Right.
By the way, for those listeners out there who maybe this is your first time listening to Baller Boys podcast, we actually did an episode revolved around the disappointment of the Rams. It is I think it's called the biggest disappointment in the NFL. Well, yeah, we dedicated an entire podcast episode to the Rams and how disappointing they've been. So if you're interested in that, check that out. We go into detail about their season, but
it's like throwing a surprise birthday party and it's not even the person's birthday.
Yeah, it's really sad in LA right now. Actually, for both teams, neither one of the LA teams are doing that great. But the Rams in particular just completely collapsed. Like the roof caved in. It's a sinkhole at this point. It's a crater. But
a nice little museum, in the future.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be something nice built over it. But the reason I brought up the Bengals schedule, man, is because if Burrow and company can get some big wins off of these teams, I'll be impressed. Of course, like you mentioned, they got the Chiefs next. Then they have the Browns with the returning Watson, by the way. Then they have the Buccaneers in Tampa. Then they have the Patriots in Foxborough. Then they host the Bills. And then they host the Ravens. I mean, this has got to be one of the toughest schedules going forward.
And that's why I say he deserves his flowers. You read my mind. I think you're almost psychic. But that was going to be my last point. They really have a non-Detroit easy schedule. This is really going to be a test. And the first one to jump is going to be the test against Mahomes. And I have a gut feeling if the Bengals can find a way to beat the Chiefs, I think it'll be a very close game. It won't be by 2 touchdowns or anything like that. This could be a huge momentum shift in that locker room. And I think those guys will feel like they were drinking Michael Jordan Space Jam water and be like they can take on anyone. Because on that schedule, who's harder than the Chiefs? You know? So, well, the Bills. The Bills will probably be another big test. But outside of those two teams, it's like if they find a way to muscle their way in and everyone's locked in and they give Joe Burrow the chance to shine, he's the perfect quarterback to live up to that expectation, man. Because like I said, him and Allen, they're in about a similar, threshold with the passing yardage for this year. So if there's any quarterback that you can think of that can step up at this perfect moment in the season, it's Joe.
Yeah, for sure, man. He's sitting at number 3 in most passing yards in the season. So absolutely he deserves his roses, man. Like seriously. And I'm glad once again that you mentioned him. And
I think Tom Brady is going to be the one that's going to actually deliver them too.
Yeah.
I just got a text message from anonymous person.
What's funny is Tom is actually number 4 on the list of most passing yards for the season. He's right under Joe Burrow.
I mean, I hate to say this because I probably sound like a crazy person, but I wouldn't be surprised if Tom told his teammates, hey, we're not losing another game this season. Because that would be like a very Tom Brady thing to do.
Oh, that loss to the Browns was brutal. That was a bad loss for them.
And that's why I instantly take back what I just said.
Yeah, they just lost to the Browns without Deshaun Watson in overtime.
His age, man. That's my excuse.
Yeah, I think he's done after this season.
He should be. He should be. Like, yeah. It's like there's nothing else to really see from Tom.
Yeah, he's done it all.
Yeah. It's like even
no reason to stick around.
Even if he magically came back and some way, somehow they were able to go to the Super Bowl, I still wouldn't be excited. It'll just be like, just hurry up and retire.
The bad thing is, I won't even say bad, it's more sad than anything. But the sad thing is the Buccaneers can actually make the playoffs just because of how terrible their division has been this season.
Yeah, that's what I say. If some magic happened or whatever and they find a way, I still wouldn't be excited. There's no knock against them. It's just that it's like, it's someone else's turn, man. Like, you had your fun. It's like seeing your granddad on the stage and he got his 24th trophy. It's like, okay, we get it. Get it.
It's interesting because I think I'm not sure if we've talked about this, but there's a passing of the guard going on in the league right now. You're seeing these young guys like Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert and company kind of over dethroning Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Matt Stafford.
It's more than one. That's the funny thing. It's like everyone just came together and said, all right, we're all going to
let's retire these old fools.
Yeah. Yeah. Talking about cancel culture, man. That's it right there.
Let's retire these grandpas.
Right. No, I mean, if anything, I know we probably do this for another show.
Yeah.
The last word would be if NFL did something special for Tom, I would love for them just build a statue somewhere. Because there's never gonna be anyone as good as Tom. It'll be a long time. Yeah,
that's absolutely true, man. What Tom has done in the league is impressive to say the least. But it's there comes a time. There just comes a time, and it's going to happen to everyone. But with that being said, man, I think we covered it. I like your pick, man. Joe Burrow does deserve his roses. Pat Mahomes is just slinging it like the true gunslinger that he is and making ridiculous passes, looking like he could be in the NBA. The Lakers could use Mahomes right now, I'll tell you that. But with that being said, thank you all for joining us here on the Baller Boys podcast. We come to you every week where we talk sports, and more sports. Catch us on your favorite podcast streaming service. Also, feel free to check out our other affiliates, man. Check out I Am Refocused Radio and podcast with Shemaiah. He interviews difference makers, man. And of course, you get to hear that awesome deep voice of his. And check out Sweep the League podcast as well. We got a lot of fun things going on there. We talk sports, life, and laughs. That's what we do there on Sweep the League with Rudy Campos Jr., Rocky Garza Jr., oh my gosh, I have to say it's like a paragraph. The Candace.
The credits are rolling.
I know the credits are rolling right now. I have to take a drink of water every time I say that. But the point is, thank y'all for giving us your time and your ears, and we really appreciate it. And we'll catch y'all next week. So with that being said, tell your mom, tell your grandma. Peace out.